Good morning, everyone. It's Hemang from Solid Support. We're just waiting for a couple of more people to join us. We'll just wait for another 5-10 seconds, and then we'll start our presentation. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is the 13th webinar exploring the functionality of Power Project. Previous webinars on the Solid Support website, where you will also find information on Power Project online training courses. Remember that Solid Support can help with your Power Project setup, templates, and code libraries. We have Solid Support BI consultant today, Sane, to take us through the demo. So over to you, Sane.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Just a little bit shortly about us. My name is Sanne, and I'm a BI consultant at Solid Support. Hemang is also here, and Ray from Microsoft. They'll be here in the back. I've heard I have a little bit of troubles with my sound, so if I'm breaking up, just let me know through the chat. Try to fix it. Just some a little bit of housekeeping. You can minimize the go-to panel right there, and if you have any questions, just type it in the box, and we'll come back to you shortly. Maybe during the presentation, maybe afterwards. So this is a business intelligence dashboard for Powerproject. The reason why people are looking into using dashboards is to mostly change the way they currently report. We still see a lot of people reporting in Excel or Powerproject, and this is a really good way to change the way you do your reports. With the BI intelligence dashboard, you can update stakeholders on how performance against project goals, milestones, and KPIs are going. You can deliver real-time insights on your project performance across the entire portfolio, which means you can show the dashboards for one or more of your projects very easily. And you can ensure that decision makers have early visibility necessary to make faster and more efficient business decisions. So when do you use a business intelligence export as a reporting solution? A question that I often get asked is what the difference is between reporting in Excel and in a visualization tool, for example, or a reporting tool. So what you can see here is that there's a difference between the Excel and the reporting way of reporting. So when you just have one project and you need just an easy overview of how your project is tracking, Excel or PDFs are actually quite fine. What you can do is you can simply copy your project data, for example, out of Powerproject into Excel. Excel is a pretty good reporting tool. It has a lot of graphs you can use, as most of you would know. You can also share with a small group of people just easily when you PDF your Excel and just share it around. However, if you would like to show and export large amount of data, especially the information that's sort of stored in the back of your program, when you have multiple projects, or if you want to share your results with many people in your organization, for example, business intelligence exports is really the way to go. Another really big benefit of using it is that you can have it automatically updated. And another great thing about it is that when you're able to export your large amount of data, you start to use predictive analytics, which means you can analyze all the information that has been stored in your previous projects and run some statistics to see how you've been tracking over time. This can be used as a really great benchmark for your next project. So what is business intelligence for Powerproject? In the core is that Elicosoft have created Powerproject BI tools. These are tools that you can use to export all your Powerproject information out of your program, store it in an external database, and then from there you can upload it in a reporting tool. As you can see in the overview, you'll need your Powerproject programs, and as I said before, you can use one or many. There's not really a limit to it. With the tools, you will extract all the data out of your programs, and I'll just show you in a minute a little bit more specifically how that works. Then those tools also allow you to grab that information from your project and store it in an external database. There's the possibility to do that in SQL Server, Oracle database, or SQLite. In the example that I'll be showing, you'll see it in SQL Server. And then finally, we're going to upload all the information in a reporting tool. Two examples are, for example, Power BI and Tableau. I'll be showing an example today in Power BI, but if you're interested or a user of any other reporting tool, that will work as well. So today I'll just going to quickly run through all of these 4 steps, and then I will show these in the slides, so it won't be live. And then at the end, I'll go into Power BI and show you how to quickly do a really basic dashboard in Power BI. I'll be doing that live. The reason I won't be going into much technical details today is that I know there's people of different levels today present at the webinar. If it's too technical or maybe not technical enough, just let me know or let us know afterwards, and we can schedule a demo that's more specifically for your needs and your company needs and your skill level. That's all good. So first of all, you'll need Powerproject Software and your programs in Powerproject. If you're working with programs, for example, in MSP or P6, you'll be able to convert them in Powerproject to Powerproject file and actually use those programs as examples for your dashboard. The next step is the actual business intelligence tools created by Elicosoft for Powerproject. First of all, we have the model compiler. This is used to compile the business intelligence export models for the export of data into an external database. So what it comes down to is when you download the tools, which are free, you get an overview of a few preset models that you can use to extract all your program data. In the next slide, you'll see this a bit more up close. So what you see here is that this is a schema designed for your export. So what this basically is just go back. In this overview, you see that the model contains tables and columns, and this is what you'll be exporting from your Powerproject program. So as you can see in this overview is that you have tables named planning data, bars, milestones, tasks, and then within those tables, you'll be able to export all of these columns that you can see in the example. So you see column name, for example, name or the path, and this goes on into a lot of variables that you can export. As you can see here is that I've highlighted the formula bit of those strings. The reason why I wanted to show you is that in the back end of this, it's all based on the formulas in Powerproject. So as long as you have have data in your Powerproject program that you can find through a formula, you'll be able to export that into Power BI. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of columns and tables that are standardly available, which means you'll have access to a lot of information that you can analyze, which is really great. The next one is the Business Intelligence Controller. This is also part of the BI toolset. What this does is that this connects your Powerproject files or a directory of files to an external database. So what I've told before is that I'll be using SQL as an example, and this tool allows you to create some sort of bridge between the program that you want to analyze and your external database. As you can see here, this is a really important part to highlight, is that in the visual you see on the right hand, you have Powerproject options. As you can see, you can easily click if you want to upload a whole directory of files. That means you'll have one folder with all the programs you want to show up in your business intelligence report. You can choose to just point it to a single file, or you can use it with your enterprise data source. Those are your options. The next step is to set up an external database which the information is to be exported. So when you look at that image, you see a SQL Server environment. This is where it gets a little bit technical, but no worries, you don't really have to do anything with this. This is really the overview that I've shown you before in the model file. I'll just quickly go back so it makes a bit more sense. So here you see the overview again with the tables and the columns. This is exactly the format that you import through using this into here. It's a bit small maybe, but on the side you can see your table with bar and your project data, which is exactly the same information as before. You can, in SQL, you can quickly check if the connection has been made. As you can see in the example, you can drill in and select the few the top 1,000 rows, for example. Then you see if the information, the project that you want to import actually is there. So that's sort of a control mechanism to see if it's working. So next up is, so once you've created that connection between your Powerproject program and the database, it's all set up and ready to import in, for example, Power BI. I think it's so well used that if you open Power BI, one of the first examples you actually see is to import data from SQL Server. When you click on import, you can click on all the tables you would like to upload. And when you click one, you can actually see what kind of data is stored. So you can choose whether to select that option or not. Once you are in BI and you have uploaded all the information, you can go in. If you click on the left hand, you have an overview of the information you have. What I always tell people is to first go in here and have a good look at all your tables and your columns, just so you get a little bit familiar with the way this works and the way it's set up. There's, I believe, around 20 tables and hundreds of columns available for you. You won't be using all the information, but it will be good. It will be good for you to have a good understanding of what information is stored in which table. So only then you can make a dashboard that actually makes sense. So a little bit quicker maybe than endlessly just having a look at the information. The other thing is in Power BI, you have an overview of the way all of these tables are connected to each other. If you want to create graphics that can talk to each other, which is a benefit of a reporting tool such as Power BI, you'll need to have unique values in every table that can talk to each other. As you can see here, you don't have to do anything with linking these tables together. One thing that's really great of using the Power BI tools that Elikesoft has created is that the tables are already connected to each other. So if you're just after a few basic graphs, you can really just forget a little bit about this until you get a little bit more advanced, which is really good. In the end, it means that once you import your Powerproject data, it's ready to go for you to make some graphs. So the next thing that I'll be doing now is I'm going to create this dashboard in Power BI just to show how relatively easy you can set something up for yourself. Just going to switch now to Power BI. I hope everyone can see this. Just let me know if you can't. So what I've just shown you is that this is Power BI, and here on the right are all your fields. For example, this is your bar table with all the information that's extracted from your bars. When you go on the left hand, you can dive a little bit deeper in the information just to get the bar as an example. In here, you can see all the different columns that I have available. So just to be clear, I've just imported this data straight from a Powerproject example. I haven't touched anything. Just I followed the steps that I just shown you in the presentation, and this is all the output that you get immediately. So when you quickly run through it, you'll see columns like the name. Let's see what else is interesting. There's a lot of codes in the background which will show you information once you if you have included some code libraries, for example. And again, this is all something you can set up in the backend in the schema that I showed you in the beginning. As long as you have a formula for it, you can import it even though it might not be in here. So what else is in here? You can see a parent name. You can see a lot of dates, which is really helpful. You have your unique task ideas to have that as well. That's linked to your bars. There's a lot of dates in here, which is really good if you start to do statusing for your programs. You can really see the difference. You can start to track the difference between start, finish, baseline, finish, baseline, start, etc., etc. You'll have, for example, float information, duration hours, duration days. I think you'll get the point. There's a lot of information stored in here, as I said before. Once you have this ready, I would advise you to go in here and have a good look at what's available for you, so you can work with it. In reality, I mostly work with just a few tables, which is usually the bar table, the task table, the project table, and maybe some milestones, but it really depends on what you want to show, of course, and how much information you have stored in your program. I think it would make sense that if you don't if you're not storing any costs, for example, that you see in here. If there's no costs in your program, these fields will be empty. So the more information you have available in your program, the more options you will have to create a detailed dashboard. So I'll now show you the model. So as you can see here, everything is linked. From a business analytics perspective, these are a lot of tables, and it's not ideal to have so many tables linked to each other. What I've said before, the great thing is that this works. It's this setup is solid. But what I would advise is after you've set up your dashboard, you're really happy with everything you have, you can start to delete some of the fields, some of the tables that you have to have less of a bulk available. If you start to delete some data, you have to be careful not to break up any links, because that can make the data sort of not talking to each other anymore. So sometimes you get variables that are not correct anymore. But once you start with this, you get a good understanding of what it can do. The less data is in your BI dashboard, the better it will run. So that's another tip. So in BI, I'm going to show you how to create a table. I'm going to show you how to import some visuals. I'm going to do a quick drop-down menu and a line chart. So I'm just going to start with a table. Here you have a visualization panel, which means all of the different charts you can use. This is quite similar to Excel, and in Power BI you also have the option to download visuals, but that's something you probably want to have a look at when you're a little bit more advanced. So right now I'm going to click on the table right here, and I'm going into my, let's say, milestone table. I want to see the start and finish date for some milestones and free float. So what I'll be looking in here, this is all alphabetical order, so which makes it sort of easy to scroll through. As I said before, once you get familiar with this, you might want to delete some of these columns to make it a little bit easier to navigate. But I just want to show you how this works with the full data set. So here I've got the name. When you click it, you can click what you want or just drag it in the values pane. It doesn't really matter. So now I'm going to look for the start date. These dates automatically, you can go here in visual to make this a little bit more bigger. So as you can see, it always gives you the year, quarter, month, and day. But when you go in here, click on this little arrow, you don't want to see the date hierarchy, you want to see the start date. So just simply click on that. You can easily and quickly change the format of it. Always gives you time, but you can choose to have it a little bit shorter. And there you go. Now I'm also going to include the finish date. Here you go. I'm just going to do the same. Just for the sake of it. Short date. And as I've said, I'm interested in the free float as well. There's not much in here, but as you can see, you can pick any variable you like. The total in my overview is not really necessary. So if you want to change any layout options, you go here in the formatting tool. What I want to do is I want to get rid of my totals. It's not really necessary. Another thing I might want to do is change your column headers. I want to have a different background, and maybe change the font color. If you want to have it a bit bigger or shorter, you can just drag it to any desired format. You usually start with a draft, and in the end you'll place all the visuals where you want to be, where you want to see them. It's best to start with the most important data on the left-hand side, because that's where people naturally look at first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add today. I want to add a title for my dashboard, for example, business intelligence dashboard. Size a little bit. Is a little bit smaller. Box. So here's a title that you can use. Another really helpful thing is a quick slicer. You can use this to show the project name, for example, which becomes really helpful if you start to add more than one project. So here I have my project table. I'm going to look for the long name. And then here you have filters. I want to leave out the blanks, for example, and just pick the project that I'm working on now. Right here in this little arrow, you can pick if you want to see and have it as a list or drop down. And another great feature of this is that when you go in the formatting tool, you can use also show select option. The long name, which is now sort of the title of this slicer, doesn't really say anything. So I'm just gonna double click in here and change this to project name. Once you press enter, you can immediately see that it changes in your program dashboard. Another thing you can easily do is to insert a few images. Just gonna click Powerproject logo, but you can basically add anything you like. Another really valuable graph is the line chart. I'm just going to show you how to see all your upcoming effort in tasks. So I'll be going to my task table and click on. I'm going to find effort in here. And I'm going to put those against my start date. Again, I have to change the date formatting to start date and not the year. And this gives you an overview of how many, I think this is effort hours per start date. This doesn't, it gives you a good indication of when most of the work will be on site. Once you're a little bit more advanced, you can start to use, you can sort of sum all the values up, have more of an S-curve, which is a little bit more advanced because you'll have to do some calculations in Power BI, which are DAX formulas. But again, I would advise you to do that maybe in a later stage. So this is a really basic dashboard. As you can see, this you can easily import some images, easily set up some basic graphs, which is a really great way to start doing dashboards. Just quickly gonna show you a more advanced dashboard. so you know what basically the full potential is. So this is a dashboard that's set up as a sample for to show you what we can do. So right here you see two pages of detailed information. When you go in here, you'll see a little bit of traffic light menu, so to speak, and a few more columns in this table. If you click on one of these items, you can choose to drill through to the project detail. That will lead you into this project detail sheet. And as you can see, there's a bit of a more advanced overview of your key milestones. We've got some task activities with your planned start and finish. As you can see, there's a difference between planned and actual start, which is really great if you want to show some variances. We have an overview that shows the resource day effort. So when basically what's going to happen on a resource level. Some values in there as well. What I showed you before is just the first steps to create a planned versus actual duration line chart. This is really great if you have multiple status programs and a baseline which you can track against. So when you go over these visuals, you can see you have a tooltip available that shows you the plan and actual, which is really great too. This is a really great tool to start to show if you start to fall behind on your project, for example. The same thing you can do with your buffer consumption and net cash flow. Again, these are just a few examples. The possibilities are basically endless. It really, in the end, it really depends on what you have, what information you have readily available from your program. So what we see a lot is that this is also a really great tool to get the way you program, the way you plan in your organization more a better process. Because if you for example would like to analyze, this is a good example. If you want to analyze 3, for example, programs, and these programs are not set up in a similar way, you won't be able to use this dashboard in the same way, if that makes sense. If in one of your programs you have used resources, but in the other not, and maybe the resources are called differently, have different names, it will be way harder to pick them up in your dashboard, or at least you will still be able to see them, but maybe not in the same consistent way. So it's really hard to really compare them. Just go back to my presentation. Another really great thing about BI, if you're interested, is that it works really well with Powerproject Vision. We've done a Powerproject Vision webinar, I think last month. So if you're interested in this, I can send you a link to that webinar so you can have a look. But basically what it comes down in terms of reporting is that you can have all of your projects and statusing centrally stored in a consistent way. And in Powerproject Vision, you have the option to immediately export in Power BI. So all the steps that I've just shown you in this presentation are still there, but you only set them up once, and that's stored in Powerproject Vision, so you don't have to look at it anymore. You can automatically have it refreshed whenever you want. So basically, you can set up some rules in Powerproject Vision that certain people of your organization, for example, can upload a program into BI, and then when it refreshes in there, you will see all that new data in your business dashboard, which is really that's it for now. I see I have a question, which is, can user-defined field be used? Yes. What I've explained before is that any information added to your Powerproject program can be pulled up in BI. I think when you start to use user-defined fields, you'll be able to see them immediately in your program, in your dashboard. Is there anyone else with a question? Something else? Can we see real-time data into Power BI for Powerproject? Yes. So what you do is, when you have set up all of this, you can, for example, use Microsoft automation tools to have this connection refreshed anytime you want. You can do it, for example, if you status every week, you might want to set it up to refresh every week. But if you're working with more programs and your status, for example, daily, you can have it refreshed overnight. So then the next morning when you open up your dashboard, you see immediately the change in data. So that's really great. I think that's it for now. Something else we hear often is that how do you work with different versions? As I've said before, the tools can be downloaded for free, but if you update your the version you're at with Powerproject, you might have to download the BI tools as well to keep using it the way you use. I see another question coming in. Could the status automatically update in Power BI when we update the schedule in P6 or Powerproject? Yeah, so this is similar. If you work with P6, you'll have to convert your P6 file to Powerproject, which you can do in Powerproject, and then store that program into the folder that's linked to your external database. So what we usually do is that when you have status your program, you're happy with the final program has been approved, you simply copy that program into the folder that talks to your external database, and as soon as that program has been copied into that folder, it gets linked to your Power BI dashboard. So what I've said before, you can set it up that it will automatically update overnight, for example, and then which means you'll have that information the following day. But if you want to see it immediately, you can just go in and refresh yourself, so you can see the update straight away. I think I've covered all the basic elements to it. As you can imagine, there's more technical details if you're interested. There's also more information available on Power BI and how everything this links to each other. If you're interested in a little bit more information, a link to download these tools or a short manual on how this all works, just let us know. You'll receive an email shortly with this webinar, so you can watch it again if you want or share it with anyone. You can easily reach out to us and get more information on this. And another thing we can do is do another demo for you specifically, for you and maybe your organization, if there's something you would like to see, if there's something else you'd like to see, if there's any topics I did a little bit too quickly or something you want to talk more about, just let us know and we can schedule another demo. If there aren't any more questions, I think that's all for today. I want to thank you for joining this webinar, participating, and again, please feel free to reach out. We'll send you some contact details so we can follow this up with you if you want to.
Thank you, Sunny, for your presentation. Thank you all for attending. Yeah, please feel to email to helpdesk@solidsupport.com.au if you got any further questions regarding BI. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.